Let's look at a different data set. I'm going to purposely kind of break things. We're once again going to work with this Wikipedia data set, list of countries with highest military expenditures. Go check it out for yourself. It's based on Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. It's the 40 countries with the highest military spending worldwide in 2023. And they have it in actual raw dollars spent, like a US dollar equivalent, and then also as a share of that nation's economy. Right off the bat, this is something that I want you to see because it's going to become relevant. The United States tops the list when we're talking about raw spend at $916 billion, which is pretty crazy. That's more than triple the next closest country, China. If we go to percentage of GDP in 2023, it's Ukraine. Ukraine is spending 37% of its GDP on defending its territory and defending itself. In the year 2023, the next closest nation at 8.2%. So keep that in mind because we're going to see that in just a bit. All right, well, we're working with this data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to purposely flub something for a second. I'm going to copy paste, and you'll see that Desmos does not like when I do this. In fact, I'm just going to go with fewer values because I know what's about to happen. I'm going to copy paste. It doesn't like the dollar signs. I'll show you how to get around that. I'm going to say A equals, I'm going to create my box just like I did before, but look at what happened. It saw the $550, $560. And so what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to head on over and I am going to take all of my data in that column and I'm going to press Command C or Control C. I'm going to copy and then I'm going to head over here and go to Edit, Paste Special and go Values Only. It's going to give me all dollar signs and from there all the data is highlighted. I'm going to change that form to number. Just regular numbers. So it's no longer dollars. And now all of a sudden, Desmos will gladly accept the values that I give it. Problem averted. We still have this annoying little thing to deal with. But box plot A. You see this thing is quite long and thin. And so let's say that we want an offset of 200 and a height of 100. That gives us a little bit more of a sense of what's going on here. And we now have our box plot. Unlike the values that I showed you before, now there is a left whisker. It's a very narrow left whisker coming off of the tail. So this is my first quartile. This is my median. This is my third quartile, and my minimum value is just a little bit below the first quartile. The median seems to be much closer to the first quartile than it is to the third quartile. And then we have this long right whisker. Just so you know, by convention, a whisker can be as long as 1.5 times as long as the interquartile range. In other words, the distance between the first quartile and the third quartile. This whisker is 1.5 times as long as the IQR, or the interquartile range. And then we have these outliers, which we had excluded. It says exclude outliers. If we didn't exclude the outliers, now all of a sudden that whisker is really, really long, but that's not typically what you see. We get these outlier values, and there's the US way out at $916 billion of spending. That is one way to look at it. The other way, we're going to create an equivalent box plot, and that is based on the percentage of national production, or the GDP. We already saw Ukraine came out, way up at the top on that list. And because these are raw numbers, I don't have to worry about modifying them in any way. I'm going to head over to Desmos. I'm just going to create data value or data set B and paste. And once again, when I head on down, I'm going to have to delete that. I'm going to say box plot B. Now, these are all percentage terms. So you can see with these percentages, it's going to just be, much closer to say like 100. I'm going to create my offset and go down on this one. I'm going to go -50 and I'm going to make the height 30. And again, in theory, this is kind of the same data, right? We're talking about the 40 countries that are spending the most, but now we're asking, well, are we measuring this in terms of raw spend, or are we measuring this as a percentage of their nation's economy, the size of their economy? Once again, we get this left tail, we get the first quartile, the median, the third quartile. The shape of the box looks pretty similar, but we get more outliers than we had last time. If we think about last time, we really only had 2 outliers. We had China and we had the United States. Now we have more outliers than that. We have like 4. So depending on the way that we think about our data, we can end up having different features, different characteristics in the box plot. So we see Ukraine way out here at 37%. That is how to make a box plot in Desmos.